Rohan Patel, comic book movie.
I'm
Hi
in.
everyone, it's really nice to meet you. I
Likewise.
uh, I really enjoyed Raya. It's a pleasant surprise, and I think the perfect film that we really needed as we enter year two of this whole
Yeah.
pandemic.
Thank you.
And I'm sure you've been asked this plenty of times, but um, with the pandemic, uh, what was the status of the film when the lockdown happened last year around this time,
Mhm.
and how did your production how was your production affected as you tried to wrap up by the original like November date and then now March?
Just for context, the movie's been around for 6 years, but we came on about a year and a half ago, and so we hadn't gotten very far in terms of what taking the story to where we wanted to take it, and we'd only been on it a few months. I think there may have been a handful of shots that were approved in animation, and then we went on lockdown. So I 95 at least 95% of the movie was produced at home, various homes, 450 to 500 homes. And so it was a massive undertaking, as you can imagine. Technologically, it was daunting, but our tech team got us up and running over a weekend, and we didn't skip a beat. The bigger challenge was just the Disney cultural challenge, which is we're used to collaborating very closely within the same building, see each other all the time, for lunch, for coffee, passing each other in the hallway. We're always talking story, and ideas can come anywhere at any time. That's just sort of the culture we have. And then we go home, and we're on lockdown, then we go to our homes, and that was the hardest part, really, is just trying to, 'cause you can't recreate it, but at least we tried very hard to at least give everybody as much trust as we could. We had to trust people more than I think we ever did. And I think the results speak for themselves in terms of the film, because I think it's our most beautiful film. But I think our crew had the best time making it, despite the ridiculously hard conditions they were making it in.
It's an absolutely gorgeous film. And so like with films like Raya and Moana a couple years ago, and Encanto's coming up,
Mhm,
it really feels like Disney's embracing diversity more so than ever before. And
mhm.
we're starting to like the world is starting to realize there's as much room in this space for Raya as there is for Elsa.
Yeah.
And so like as filmmakers and writers, um, what's that process like when you approach Disney or when they approach you when you're picking your projects and trying to like what's just the development process of like picking something like Raya or picking something like whatever you're interested in?
Well, I think as Don mentioned, Raya is a very particular kind of project because us three really came on board a year and a half ago after the project had already been developed for 4 years. But I know that we're all developing our other different movies now that Raya is done. We're going back to our personal projects, and those come from a really beautiful introspective process in which the filmmaker is asked some really profound existential questions about what are the things, the characters, the worlds that most matter to you, and why. And it really starts with that basic question. Then from then you come up with some ideas, and obviously they're very vague. They're just really possibilities. And through a set of exercises, lots of research, lots of conversations with the development team, then eventually you start bringing in collaborators, whether it's Qui as a writer or a production designer. You start to develop on these ideas, and then start creating characters, then start creating worlds. And what the development team is so good is always reminding you why you wanted to tell this movie in the first place. What is like that seed of inspiration that drove you to want to tell the story? And hopefully, I mean, already now, but more and more in the years coming on, you'll see that the filmmakers of Disney Animation are all making projects that they feel extremely passionate about, extremely connected to, and that speak to them as individuals. There's also a very diverse group of filmmakers now, so you're gonna get to see some really incredible stories coming out of there. Some that are announced, like Encanto, and some that are not announced. But I can tell you that being inside, I am very excited for all these projects to start seeing the light of day, because they're beautiful, incredible, complex, and very, very diverse.
Yeah, they're getting better and better. And so when you're, I think Aquafina was cast prior to everyone coming on board, but
Mhm.
when you're directing Aquafina, who's such a phenomenal talent, did you sort of have to cater the character of Sisu toward her? Well, like, did you write for Aquafina, or did she come in and just kind of make it her own? Because it's like I had made the comparison that it really felt like a Robin Williams-esque genie type performance.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can only speak towards the writing of it all, but it's definitely collaboration. I think that's the kind of secret magic of Disney, which is very different than making a movie almost anywhere else in the here, where like if you're making a kind of a live action screenplay or a TV show, you kind of write the script and you hand it off, and the directors run off with it. But in this, you're kind of in that process all the way through from beginning to end. But that includes the actors too. Like they're part of that process, and it's this kind of feedback loop, right? That you're part of. That you put pages out, you listen to their humor, they have input, but it's all towards the same thing. And what's so great about making Ryan the Last Dragon was we all knew what the mission was. We all knew what characters we wanted to say, what we wanted them to be, and what kind of message we wanted to say. And that was this kind of gift to the world of like the bravery of trust. And I think that we all were very passionate about putting that together.
Awesome. And so, like, I know it differs on case by case, but for as far as the recording sessions go, when you're directing actors, were you forced to record them separately, or was that something that you guys got a chance to record, like Kelly and Gemma together, or and Aquafina?
No, that's one of my I wish we could record the actors together, but it's just never in all the films I've been on anyway, it's rare that that can happen. And a lot of it has to do with the actors' schedules, actually, and the fact that it's not like, I think we kind of alluded to it. It's not like we write a screenplay and then just make that screenplay. The writing process continues out throughout the whole process of the film. And so we're asking these actors to come back and do multiple sessions. What, 6, 8, 10, however many it takes.
Yeah.
And so it's almost impossible to coordinate actors' busy schedules with each other. For instance, like I know on like Fantastic Mr. Fox, Wes Anderson, I think, had his actors come for maybe a week and got them all together and was really able to record a lot of them together in scenes, which is great. But the problem with that is that for our process, that wouldn't work because we don't have a locked script. Our script is still not locked and the movie's almost out. I mean, but if we could make change, I think we're constantly wanting to futz with stuff. And so we haven't quite cracked that ability to record everybody together just because of our process. But one of these days, that is my dream, because I think that would be very fun. Oftentimes I'm reading with the actors and I'm terrible. So I'd rather get the real actors in there.
He really is terrible.
Sounds really good, actually.
Thank you. Thank
you. Yeah, and then I guess this I don't want to run out of time, but this world is so vast. So Kumandra is so vast. It's so beautiful, and so and there's this really beautiful moment near the end where we see Gemma's character and Sisu, and she gives that knowing look. Was like, and that's just so it's such a well done moment. And anyway, but when you're creating this world, where did you sort of draw the inspiration from? I know you took a trip together to the Southeast Asia to sort of draw that environmental feel.
It's a really long process. As Don mentioned, it's almost 6 years in the making. It all started with a research trip that many of our artists went to different countries in Southeast Asia. They met with people there. They got to go to temples. They got to stay with people in people's homes. And I think that just immerses you into the worlds that you're going to draw inspiration from. Then they bring all that knowledge back with them and they share it with the rest of the studio. What also happened is that from that trip, there was a group of people, collaborators that we call the Southeast Asia Story Trust, who remained a part of the team and helped us in the architecture, in the music, in the crafting of every little thing that you see in the screen to make sure that we were really representing the cultures that we were getting inspiration from accurately. So it's a really long process, and then it really, a lot of it services the story. Is like once you realize like what journey you're sending your characters in and what are sort of like the places that they have to go to, you start then creating locations, creating the environments, and designing all of these things that support the character's journey. But at the end, you know, our team really did build a world. And because it's CG, it's not like they just have to work for certain angles, is they have to generate the entire world. There's rivers, there's fields and rice fields and valleys and all kinds of things that you only get to see a very small glimpse on in the movie. So, you know, hopefully one day there's some other iteration, Namari Returns, that gets us to see more of the world of Kamandra.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm a huge fan of your work. Love Big Hero 6, Blindspotting. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.